Hi, how are you? I haven't been feeling myself lately. Oh, it somehow manifested itself a few days ago. I felt like there was a wire inside my head that was too tight. I couldn't relax and my sleep was suffering and then I thought that I would measure my blood pressure. And no surprise, it was 10 degrees higher than it should be and 10 degrees to the limit that I should take medication. I have had the heightened blood pressure before. When I was pregnant with my children, my blood pressure went up, and even sometime after they were born, because of heightened stress levels at that time. Then I had a medication for it during that time, and it helped. But of course, I didn't want to keep eating it for the rest of my life. So I was very thankful when we could stop it with the doctor after a while. But now I felt that something is off. And people say that you cannot feel that you have high blood pressure, but I disagree. I can feel it, and I can feel many things that you are not supposed to feel, but people are different that way. So I measured it, and of course I was a little bit like frustrated, or why and how, and I should be able to do something now before it gets too high. And then I'm of course afraid that it will destroy my vision in the long run, or do some harm in my brain that it can do. Of course, you can study about it in the various places, what heightened blood pressure do. It's not dangerous like immediately, but it somehow nags you. Of course, you have constantly too much pressure in your veins, and it's not good for you. And of course, there are, if you read those pages about blood pressure, there is a lose weight and don't eat so much salt and exercise. Well, I don't have weight to lose, and I don't use salt too much of anything, so I cannot take them away. But of course, I should exercise more, that I know. But I started to think that why this is happening now, because it's not just a like this thing that develops in seconds. It takes a long time. And I started to think back, and last year at this same time I had very difficult case at work, and it took very much my time, and it was that kind of thing that really bugged me, that made me really sad for a very long time, and it came home with me. I wasn't able to just leave it at work and think when I'm at the office, and of course that stresses you out in the long run. And then it happened that the client died, and then it was a whole nother thing. Then I was the bearer of bad news for the next half a year to the next of kin. So this was ongoing for a year, and it still continues, but of course much of the things have been dealt by now, and it's not every day in my mind anymore. But for the first autumn and spring, it was on my mind every day, including weekends. So that kind of formed that kind of stress base that was in my head. And then I thought, of course, what more? Then we had the grandchild, and there was, of course, a lot of worry, a lot of stress. My husband was very worried before the baby was born, the end of the pregnancy, and even when we were in Italy in summer, he was thinking, what if the baby is going to be born now and he's not here? And so that's, of course, brings extra fuss to our life. And I am a person that is constantly worried. So, of course, I worry about the pregnancy, and I worry about the baby, and I worry about the baby now when he's 4 months old. So that's a addition to our life, addition to our family, before we all get used to it. So it's like part of everyday life. It begins to be, but it's not there yet. But that was, of course, one add stressor. And then there has been a certain ambiguities about the finances right now because of the high interests. I haven't been able to get as much money in from my clients to my practice as I usually do. So I have to think that where do I cut costs not to be in trouble. And that is, I know that I am going to get what is coming to me, but it's coming on delay. So that's one thing, and I'm not used to that. And I do not feel comfortable because I don't have this kind of a like basic security from childhood that people just say that it will figure out, it will resolve itself somehow. Like my husband says that, well, it's not going to end, it's going to go away, and we're going to be just fine. But my head isn't saying that we are going just fine. And of course there is now, the interest was going up and down and up and down and up and down, and what is meant for our mortgage, that's another financial issue that you understand if you have mortgage. But now it's settled and it's in a good state. But there are these kind of stressors. And of course, I have been always a little bit depressed in the autumn time because it's dark and my head doesn't like the dark. My brain wants to shut up. But this autumn I have tried to use the bright light therapy every day for at least 2 hours in the morning. So I think that it helps, but it of course generates more activities to my head that heightens the blood pressure. But overall, after realizing or thinking about all these things, that these are the stressors in my life at this moment. Of course, there are something always with the children. Somebody is moody and somebody has to make decisions, and I'm constantly worried, but that has been so for 20 years already. So it doesn't in itself heighten my blood pressure. And when my husband said, when I of course told him that, oh my God, this is up now again, and I'm furious, and he just said, well, isn't there a medication for it? And I said, yeah, but I don't want to live life that my body can't tolerate. I can't. I don't want to. So first of all, I thought about all these things that have been stressing me out or wearing me out for the last year and a half, and they really aren't such a big deal in the end when I think about it. My health is much more important than anything that I do at office. The baby is fine and it has his own mother to take care of him all the time, and she's a very good mother, and whatever happens, then we have to deal it when it happens. And for the finances, I know that I'm getting what is coming to me, and there is always another solution when there is a talk about money. So we just have to make a plan B if things go bad, and then we just do it. And that alone, by thinking all these things through, calmed me down. Because now I know what I'm fighting. It's not just some fluffy thing that I cannot understand or that I can't control. I know what's bugging my mind and all the details. And that alone lowers my blood pressure, I'm sure. And of course, again, I made the decision to go for a walk every once in a while when it's not raining cats and dogs, preferably. And I did. I did it already this week. So I'm doing something to lower my blood pressure. Of course, I'm not a doctor. I have been to a doctor with my blood pressure. And if you have a higher blood pressure or you are afraid that you have, then go to a doctor and ask for their advice. And read through the internet what you can do yourself to lower it, because it's not good for you. And if you don't know what your blood pressure is, go and have it measured. In here we have these points that you can go and measure your blood pressure in pharmacy or something like that, and they do it for free. So you just know. I have my own device because I had the high blood pressure when I was pregnant, so I had to measure it every day to know if it's going up or down. So I of course still have it. But it's a health-wise, it's this kind of measuring tool. If you have high blood pressure, something is wrong, you have to make changes. Of course, if you can lose weight, you can lose weight. If you can lose the salt, lose the salt. But if you can't, then you have to, and just anyway, think what's stressing you out and think, is it really worth it? Because I find that often it happens that we get very stressed about something that in the bigger picture is just meaningless. For example, what the neighbors think. I couldn't care less. They can think what they want. But I try to get more exercise, and I try to remember that these things that I have been stressed about are not that a big deal. Life will take care of itself. And at this point, I'm relaxed, and I see next week if the blood pressure is going down again. I certainly hope that. So, I hope you have a great day. I see you soon. Goodbye.